Hi, this is Gurisi Singh, and you're listening to My Thick Accent podcast, where we break the stereotypical molds the immigrants are asked to fit in, and we unfold their personal journeys of struggle, resilience, finding home away from home, and much more. So stay tuned and let's continue knowing each other beneath the accent. So, as we approach a milestone with 25 episodes under our belt, I thought it would be a great opportunity to take a look back at the top 5 most downloaded episodes of the show. And over the course of these episodes, we have had the pleasure of speaking with a diverse range of guests, each with their own unique perspectives and experiences as immigrants. And in this episode, we will revisit some of the most compelling conversations, insights, and stories from our guests, and reflect on what made these episodes so special. From the heartwarming tales of perseverance and resilience to the thought-provoking discussions around identity and belonging to the inspiring stories of immigrants making their mark on the world, these episodes have been a true testament to the power of sharing our stories. And while we celebrate the success of these top 5 episodes, it's important to remember that every guest we have had on the show has contributed to making My Thick Accent the repository of information that we aspire it to be. Their stories and experiences are a reminder of the importance of amplifying immigrant voices and breaking down barriers. So whether you are a long-time listener of the show or tuning in for the first time, welcome. Join me as we look back on some of the most memorable moments from My Thick Accent. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm keeping the trailer episode and the first episode that was with Melissa Mata out of this list because these were live when I launched the podcast, and these two by far are the top 2 episodes, and it wouldn't be fair to keep them with the others. I'll also put the links to these 2 episodes and the others that I will mention in this episode in the show notes. If you haven't heard any of those, please do check them. So the first most downloaded episode, in no particular order, is with Ritika Saraswat. And the episode is called Let's Redefine Immigrants. And I believe that's exactly what we discussed. We explored the issue of immigrants underselling oneself due to societal stereotypes, particularly in the hospitality industry. And Ritika points out that people often assume that individuals working in entry-level positions in cafes or fast food restaurants look a certain way, mostly like South Asians. However, she emphasizes that these assumptions should not limit people's potential or dictate their capability. We also got to know more about Redefined, a non-profit that she runs with the primary objective of fostering inclusivity and recognizing diversity. Here's a snippet from the episode.
Everyone worked at cafes, everyone worked at restaurants, and I think that just made you feel a lot more included. But at the same time, when you are a student who looks like they're not from Canada and who speaks like they're not from Canada, I feel like there's a difference between you being that part-time worker versus someone else. I think because even before I came, and I mean, like, I know a lot of us, like a lot of the people from our community have been coming down to Canada for a while. And I feel like because it's just so happened over a period of time, since the hospitality industry is so easy to get into, people have developed this persona of what a part-time worker at a cafe or McDonald's would look like. And they look quite like us, a lot like South Asians. And I think there was this tendency to just assume, well, that's what you're here for. Like, I remember even in the immigration office, at the airport when I was coming in.
So the second most downloaded episode is called What Happens in Yukon, Canada. Yes, that's the title of the episode. It featured Khushbu Agarwal, who moved out of her house at the age of 21 to pursue higher education in Singapore and later completed her master's in the same country. She then immigrated to Canada in 2019, and she currently works as a fiscal economist for the government of Yukon. And back then, I had never spoken to or even knew anybody who lived in Yukon. So that episode was very fascinating. And I guess I wasn't the only one. That's why it made it to our top five. So we delved into Khushbu's life journey, the experience of living in Yukon with just 5 hours of sunlight, the insights of working with the government of Yukon, and her encounter with bears. Bear with me. This is my second take. I'm gonna say bhalu. If you are a South Asian, you know what I meant. So her encounter with bhalus while running on trails.
Trails is basically running on a mountain within a forest, right? And that's where all the bears hang out too. Yukon and Alaska are known to be like, bear country. You would see signs everywhere like bear safety is important here in a bear country. So that's the first thing I got when I moved here was a bear spray. Um, and yeah, we always run with it like you have water bottle in one pocket of your vest and a bear spray in the other pocket of your vest because that's absolutely necessary. And I did come across one, and they tell you to not run back as soon as you see it, but that's your first reaction, right? So I look at it, me and my friend, and I start running back. She's like, don't run. I was like, ooh, yikes. Okay, yeah, I gotta remember that. And that was the first time I actually took out my bear spray, and there's a safety lid on it. So I took off the safety lid and I literally had it up like in front of my face in case I had to spray it because the bear was so close. So yeah, it happens, and you see bear poop everywhere. Like and those are the things you have to look out for when you're trail running, especially by yourself. To have constantly be on a lookout for either bear prints and bear poop. Yeah, and I have come across quite a few as I was training for my marathons.
So what do you do if you don't run? I mean, that's the very instant reaction, right?
There are a few steps. You make sure you keep your bear spray ready.
So the third most downloaded episode is with Rashmi Agarwal. And fun fact, she's Khushbu's elder sister, the previous podcast guest I just mentioned. And I connected with Khushbu through Rashmi only. So in our episode, Rashmi highlights the challenges she faced, including self-doubt and concerns about her accent and vocabulary, and emphasized the importance of being understood in a new workplace and the need to update one's vocabulary to communicate effectively with native speakers, from learning the Canadian lingo to finding the correct pronunciation of water. I think I still don't know how it goes. So it's okay to have an accent, which is the name of the episode as well. So along with that, this episode offers insights into the challenges faced by immigrants and the strategies they can use to overcome these challenges when starting their careers in a new country.
It was so funny. First time I landed, and everybody asked you, "Hey, what you used to do in India?" And I was like, I proudly
Mhm.
said, "Hey, I work with Ministry of Textiles. I was part of handicraft and handloom." They were like, "What? What is that?" And that was the first reality check I got, where whatever I was telling very proudly, nobody could understand what does it even mean.
Mhm.
And sometimes during my interviews, I ended up explaining about what handicraft and handloom is, which was completely irrelevant, and you
Mhm.
know uh, uh, it just took the whole interview in different direction, right? uh, so eventually, after some time, I met one of the Canadian colleague, and I sat down with her and I was like, "You have to help me out. You would know more, right?" So that's where I scripted the whole thing, how to explain it in
Mhm.
2 lines. First,
Mhm.
there's nothing like handloom here. They'd say textiles, and then I found some local companies to name so they understand what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Probably IKEA or HomeSense, and I say, you see, their home furnishing,
Hmm.
which they could understand instantly. So those things
Yeah.
really, really help a lot in making a connection when you move to a new country. Um, so now I was like, worked with a government company where I was promoting products made by local artisans, which were mainly handmade. That's it.
The fourth most downloaded episode features Rishan Chatterjee, who had over a decade of experience in the alcohol marketing industry in India but wasn't afraid to start his journey in Canada. He discusses the challenges of finding qualified candidates in the market and emphasizes the importance of not stereotyping people based on their ethnicities, and how the subconscious mind associates certain characteristics with different ethnicities, which can lead to bias while hiring. If a candidate is fit for the job, he says do not look at anything else. That's why I named the episode Start Looking Beyond Ethnicities. And then there were some not so commonly discussed topics like this one.
See, I definitely ask everyone to differentiate between your necessities and your luxuries, and have a very, very, very clear perspective of not just the money you've come in with, but
Mhm.
also take a robust understanding at how long that money needs to last for you. Because, when you come as a newcomer, some people get a job in 2 weeks, some people get a job in 8 months or 9 months. So it's
Mm.
important to not, obviously, there are a lot of areas where you can splurge, but it's important to, kind of limit that urge without knowing what your Canadian income source is going to be. That definitely is a
Mm.
factor. For students or for individuals, obviously, I would say it's perhaps slightly easier because you're in control of your destiny in terms of your needs and wants and luxuries. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you need to go hungry. I'm not saying that you don't buy your essential winter clothes that you need. Don't compromise on those things. Your health
Mm.
is first. You need to, whatever you need to
Yeah.
spend to maintain your health and sanity, go ahead and do it. But yeah, I mean, just monitor your luxuries. I'm not saying don't do it completely, but have a clear understanding of your expenditure versus income at every step. I would recommend noting down every expenditure that you have under different heads and analyzing from time to time as to where you're spending more, where you could spend less, where you could probably end up getting more value, which are the right places to go and shop from. Look at the internet. The internet is a huge friend. I mean, there are apps that can
Yeah.
actually tell you where offers are running at this point in time, so that you can make use of those
Mm.
offers. This country runs on coupons. So if you if
Yeah.
you if you have different brands which are offering coupons, I remember uh, I've been using AW coupons all my life. Maybe because
Mm.
I started off giving out Uber Eats coupons for AW. Maybe that's the reason. But
So, the fifth most downloaded episode is called Discrimination from Fellow Immigrants. It features Gursahib Singh. And in this podcast episode, he details the challenges and struggles he faced while trying to settle in a new country, from difficulty to finding affordable accommodation and how he had to compromise on comfort and settle for sleeping on a blanket for several months, to a harrowing experience of being robbed at knife point while working in a convenience store, leaving him feeling uneasy and realizing that his life was not worth risking for such a low paying job. And then he encourages people not to compromise on their comfort and safety and to remember that their lives are valuable. And of course, the issue of discrimination we discussed and racism that many immigrants face in their daily lives. He also recounts an experience where someone doubted his intelligence based solely on his appearance, despite being one of the top students in his class.
The issue was like the first 4 days when I was staying temporarily at that place. There was no point
Mhm.
buying a mattress. I didn't know what kind of type of bed I'll be getting eventually.
Mhm.
So I used my blanket as a base and I slept on that. And after 4 5 days, when I moved out, like when we come to Canada as an international student, right? We have limited money, and
Mhm.
we are like on the peak of saving money. Even a single dollar is very important for us. So I did
Yeah.
not buy a mattress. I went to Walmart. The mattresses were like $160, $200. The normal ones, spring mattress, the like least quality was for $160. And
Mhm.
I went to the last section of Walmart where all that camping stuff is there. So there were air mattresses. They were for
Mhm.
$17, $20, $25, maximum $50. So I bought the
Mhm.
cheapest one. Like I regret doing that, but I bought $17 air mattress and a pump, and I used it
Mhm.
for like 4 months. When I moved out from that house, from that temporary accommodation, I got a permanent accommodation that was a small room. So I
Mhm.
used that air mattress for about 3 months till December, and then
Mhm.
I slept on that. And one night I remember like it just burst out,
No
and
way.
I was like, yeah, I was sleeping. It was like 3 or 4. I don't remember what time it was. It was night. It just burst, and I said, "Leave it." I want to sleep. I slept on that only. And in December, I moved to another place. There, uh, a mattress was available, but only mattress. There was no bed or anything,
Mhm.
like no bed frame. It was just a mattress, a 6-inch mattress, which we get from Costco. So I slept on that
Mhm.
for good 1 year.
Mhm.
I got a good mattress to sleep like after I graduated and moved to London.
Mhm.
That was the best sleep I got, I would say.
So these were the top 5 most downloaded episodes so far out of the 25 episodes that we have released, the 25 guests we have brought on the podcast. So thank you so much for being with me today here and listening to this episode. And if you are new here, please don't forget to hit on subscribe so that you are notified for each new episode that comes up every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you like this episode, don't forget to give a rating. I'll really, really appreciate that. And like I always say, we encourage you to follow your heart, but also us on Instagram. Now we are also on LinkedIn with the same name, My Thick Accent, and Instagram handle as My Thick Accent to stay updated with the upcoming guests and some other accent anecdotes. And the information about all the episodes that I mentioned in this episode can be found in the show notes. Don't forget to check that. So stay tuned and let's continue knowing each other beneath the accent.